Somnigroup International just made a move that could reshape the entire bedding industry once again. It is a bid to buy Leggett Platt, the largest Innerspring supplier in the world. Many of you know I used to work there. And this comes right after Tempur Sealy forced through the Mattress firm acquisition, grabbed stakes in Purple and Kingsdown, and tightened up their grip on the marketplace. So how much consolidation can this industry handle, and what does it mean for you? The FAM podcast starts right now. Did you know that 86% of customers buy from the first business that responds? And if you text back very quickly, that number jumps to over 90%. That's why Podium's AI employee, Jerry, is a game changer. Jerry never sleeps, never takes a lunch break, and never puts in a 2-week notice. He's always on, responding in seconds, so you never lose a lead again. Turn missed calls into texts, capture more leads, and close more deals, all with Podium. Want to see how it works? Get a demo today at podium.com/FAM. Podium, because speed wins sales. For the first time ever, top retailers can carry the luxury mattress line one of America's top sleep retailers has kept to themselves until now. Introducing Prana Sleep. Crafted from 100% natural materials featuring luxury latex quilted directly into the top panel, it's a feel no competitor can match. Born from decades of retail experience, Prana Sleep delivers premium performance, customer loyalty, and unmatched sleep satisfaction. Your competition is going to hate selling against Prana Sleep because nothing compares. Apply now at pranasleep.com.
Welcome to the FAM podcast with Mark Kinsley. This is where the best in the bedding business get even better.
Yeah, I'm already getting texted behind the scenes here. Just people asking me what I think about the Somnigroup bid to buy Leggett Platt, or at least the letter that went to the Leggett Platt board of directors. And I mean, here's my hot take. And you tell me what you think. Head over to LinkedIn. I mean, I think this is something that's an important conversation. And I think a lot of people in the industry have been avoiding it. Even at Sleep Summit 2025, retailers that were up on stage talking to me about TSI and Mattress Firm and that merger and how it impacts the industry, we're very cautious. I mean, if you want to right now, you can go to my LinkedIn, you can go to thefam.com, and for $99, you can actually unlock all those videos of all of our speakers, the panel where we talked about this subject. I got a text behind the scenes from somebody that's very prominent in this industry saying, "You think Leggett accepts it?" And here's what I wrote back. And I think this is an important point that we all need to consider. I think that, and I say to my friend here, I think that Leggett is going to have to accept that TSI buys them. Otherwise, TSI is going to buy another Innerspring operation. I mean, there aren't a lot of them, but you could cobble together, or you can greenfield your own production. And then what happens to Leggett? I mean, if TSI said, "Hey, we're going to greenfield our own production," yeah, maybe it's going to take us a year, 2 years to get up to supply capacity for an entity of our size. What happens to Leggett then? I mean, it's not lights out for Leggett Platt. They've got a diversified business, but I mean, that darkens the door significantly. And if you look at Leggett's history right now, and this isn't even getting into yet what we're going to talk about with should this happen, should this not happen. But if you just do the rundown of where Leggett sits right now, in Q3, bedding segment sales were down 10% year over year. Now we have a couple of things. Of course, this is what gets said in the earnings call: weak residential demand, lower unit volume, and retailers shifting away from adjustable and specialty foam products. So I don't know that that's necessarily true, but this is what comes up in the earnings call. Definitely residential demand is down. Now, here's a little side stat for you that really reinforces that a lot of people are in a bad spot because residential demand is so far in the trough right now. And that stat is this: not since 1948 have this few people moved. Only 11% of people last year moved. That's a very low number, the lowest number since 1948. The average person, whenever they move to a new house, they spend about $9,000 on furniture and mattresses. That's a slightly dated stat, about 18, 24 months old, but it gives you some directional accuracy on how much money people are going to spend when they go to buy a new house or move to a new home. And if only 11% of people are moving, that number is obviously going to impact the amount they spend on furniture and mattresses. And that feeds right into the supply side of the business, which goes all the way up to Leggett Platt. So 10% down, only 11% moving. You can see, that's not math that adds up in a positive direction for a publicly traded company that relies on sort of the stabilization of people, agreeing to move or deciding to move. Not to get into the fact that historically, when people do move, they improve their economic standings and standards. And so innovation happens, new learning happens, fresh talent pool comes in, people that are remaining in place have to get more competitive. So there's a bunch of sort of downstream effects that happen when people don't move. Total company volume for Leggett & Platt in Q3 fell 13%, and most of that was coming from the bedding division. US Innerspring unit demand declined to low single digits, but L&P's bedding revenues dropped far more. So it seems like they're losing share as manufacturers, like I've talked about before, are sort of kind of owning their own destiny. They're developing their own Innerspring and foam making capabilities. I mean, you look at what happened during COVID behind the scenes. A lot of people got the letters from Leggett about force majeure, which was basically an act of God. We're going to have to raise your prices. They said, we don't like that. And they started developing their own in-house Innerspring making capabilities. A little more history about Leggett here is management had announced they're going to consolidate 15 to 20 bedding production and distribution facilities. And if you're going to consolidate that much, I mean, that's not a healthy and growing business. That's not a short-term reset. That's a real structural reset. That's not just a little dip. Back when I was at Leggett, I saw stock get into the 50s, and now it's down in the single digits. And that's kind of a vote on the future. I mean, that's what the stock market is. It's not always a lagging indicator of your habits. It's part of that. When I say habits, I mean your habitat, the environment that you're living in, the sales, the shareholder value that you're able to add. But it's also a bet on the future. And Leggett is a legacy supplier. There's shrinking demand. There's margin pressure. It's a business model under threat as more and more people go vertical. And that's really what's happening here. I mean, you're looking at a group that is focused on increasing their shareholder value and becoming truly vertical. And I think that's what, TSI mattress firm is after. And in a business that is probably seeing the trough of some of the cyclical declines, they look at Leggett & Platt as a good target to expand the verticalization mission that they're on, own Innerspring making. There's a foam division. There will probably be some divestitures of some of the adjacent business units that Leggett & Platt is in, and maybe just focusing on bedding only. The question comes up for everybody: what does this mean for me? What does it mean if the largest manufacturer buys the largest retailer, now buys the largest component supplier? Well, if you go back to what the FTC said, I don't think we could just gloss over it as an industry. The FTC came out and said 5-0, we will not approve this merger or this acquisition of Mattress Firm by TSI, because in the report they said they are going to try and kneecap the competition. And that was very clearly spelled out in the documents the FTC produced. Many of you that I talked to, including myself, talked to the FTC, voiced concerns, also some potential upside. In a business like ours where private equity tends to come in and buy businesses, leverage them, take bonuses, sell them off, piece them off, declare bankruptcy. This cycle is not healthy for our climate. And so to have TSI, an interested party in the health of the entire mattress business, come in and be making these purchases, that did represent some potential upside for stability. But obviously, whenever you look at this from a competitive standpoint, it is a giant entity where now, even in its current state, roughly 75% of all mattresses in the US are made and or sold through the TSI Mattress Firm vehicle. Obviously, TSI sells a lot of mattresses outside of Mattress Firm only, but whenever you put together what they sell on the outside to other retailers and what they sell through now their sister company Mattress Firm, it's about 70-80% of all mattresses in the US. And that is something that is clearly anti-competitive when you look at the definition of monopoly. And so if you add Leggett & Platt to that, I think that you now have an entity that is going to control the industry to a degree that none of us have ever experienced. And that also creates opportunities, because quietly behind the scenes, this does not get talked about. And I don't know why. I guess everybody has different relationships they have to be sensitive about, but I think it's time to surface some of these conversations. But people on the retail side have been quietly moving their product lines away from TSI, away from, it would be TSI, Sealy, Stearns and Foster, and deprioritizing those models and those brands on their floor, because like it or not, that the data and the sales information that TSI has about your retail location can be fed right back up to their sister company. And why would they not? I mean, this is the funny thing about some of these moves that TSI mattress firm Somnigroup is making behind the scenes. When I talk to people about the business side of it, purely when you just put on your business hat and take off your industry hat, we all say, I would be doing the same thing too. I would be making these same moves. And congratulations to, Scott Thompson and the team for already seeing so much success. We just, of course, want this to be a healthy industry, and for us not to talk about the real dynamics at play here and the real opinion of the FTC and how this could fundamentally alter the coastline of the mattress world. I think it's our duty and responsibility to have these tough conversations. So what does it mean for you? Publicly, many of you say to me, hey, I'm just going to wait and see. I'm not sure what it means. I'm going to wait and see. Privately, there's fear. There are people that do not want to be the customer of their largest competitor. And now, whenever you extend this down into the supply side and you look at Somnigroup International potentially purchasing Leggett Platt, I think you get into uncharted territory. What do you think it means? Head over to LinkedIn. Let me know. I think that, like I said, it can go two ways. And on one hand, when you control that much share of voice and ad dollars and distribution in this industry, I think that's concerning from a competitive pressure standpoint. Competition is good, and I really believe that. It's the iron sharpens iron. And so what does that mean? It does give people the opportunity to come up alongside the Titanic in a jet boat. I mean, it does give you the opportunity to really introduce some new innovation if you could do it at speed. And that's going to be one of the key things here is you're going to be able to move faster than the big guys. You always have been able to. But then it's just like any other industry. If you get big enough, people are just going to want to buy you. And 7% of Purple is owned by Somnigroup International. What is it? 25% of Kingsdown is now owned by Somnigroup International. So it just becomes one big homogenous industry. And where there's homogeny, there's ripe opportunity for innovation, differentiation, and to form some new partnerships and some new strategic sort of collaborations that can hopefully, put you on the map in a new and meaningful way. So look, if you're in Leggett Platt's chair, is this a situation where you're going to have to say, oh my gosh, we're going to get $12 a share whenever it's been, hovering in the 8s and 9s, and it's going to be a 30% return for our investors, even though they have shares that they bought, at the time for 30, 40, $50. And then you have, the internal dynamics there at Leggett Platt that you're going to have to sort of navigate and say, we have a lot of shareholders internally. What does this mean for them? But look, if you're going to be able to take some of that Leggett Platt stock and you're going to be able to transition that over into Somnigroup stock, the industry and the street has said, we're going to bet on TSI Mattress Firm. We're going to bet on Somnigroup International. And whenever that acquisition happened, I think the market cap for that entity went up to $14 billion. That's a huge number in an industry that's, 18 to $22 billion. And then the market cap for Sleep Number went down to $200 million. Now think about that. You're a company that's doing, I think at the time, like $1.2 billion in sales, and your market cap gets cut to 200 million. Again, that's a bet on the future to say that's going to be such a competitive pressure from this TSI Mattress Firm entity that we don't think that Sleep Number is going to be able to grow. That's troubling. It's troubling because whenever competition gets throttled, innovation suffers. Whenever competition gets throttled, the consumer typically doesn't benefit because they just end up getting mass-produced product. And I think there's a big market that's emerging for non-mass-produced product. And if nothing else, it's the upmarket product. And that's where I have my eye. And I've talked to many of you about this. So, hey, weigh in. What do you think? Is Leggett Platt going to be able to say no to this? Not only management and the board being able to say no, but if TSI says, hey, we're going to go a different direction and buy somebody else, or we're going to greenfield our own Innerspring manufacturing operation, what does that do to Leggett Platt? I think it's not a death nail, but it's very, very bad for that company. So all signs, once again, feed back to TSI Mattress Firm. All right. Very few people are talking about this in an open way besides like the analysts. So tell me what you think. Is this good for the industry? Is it concerning for the industry? Is this an environment that once again is ripe for TSI Mattress Firm to essentially be able to thumb their nose at the FTC and say, we're going to do whatever we want to do? And is that a good thing ultimately for us in this mattress business that we're all a part of? I don't think there's an easy answer. But again, hey, congratulations to in advance to Scott Thompson. This guy's won every battle that I've seen him fight. And that's saying something. Okay, this is the Fam Podcast. Hey, enjoy your holiday season. Be sure to head over to thefam.com. We've got all of the videos of all the speakers that took the main stage at Sleep Summit 2025, and they're up in a portal, and it's $99, and you can access all of the speeches plus a custom GPT that we built that is fed with all of the transcript information from every single word that was spoken at Sleep Summit 2025. So what does that allow you to do? Ask questions, create content, quizzes, develop strategies, SOPs, remember what was said. All the notes are right there. You just got to be able to type a little bit. So you can find that at thefam.com and join us back here every Monday for the Fam Podcast.